So this we discussed yesterday, why Plato is or is not a fascist, or why Plato is not a totalitarian. You all know the meaning of totalitarian. Synonyms: totalitarian, dictator, autocratic. Okay. So this we have seen, and it's incorrect to call him one. This also we saw. Now Plato as a feminist. Okay. These are the points that support that Plato was a feminist. In fact, he's referred as the first feminist. Why so? He says, he advocates that women should be given an opportunity in education. And he also is not having any such belief that women are naturally disabled. Okay, there is some inherent disability within women because of which they cannot be a part of kind of your statecraft or politics. This is also he's saying. So he favors women here. And he also talks about philosophy queen. If a woman is having enough reason, if she is a philosopher, instead of philosopher king, there can be a philosopher king. He is the first person to say so. In ancient Greece, no one talked about giving monarchy to in the hands of a woman. So he, for the first time, talks about a philosopher queen, which is itself a very revolutionary ideas of those times. And remember, his communism, it's different from Karl Marx communism. He does not talk about equitable distribution of resources. All he says that men of able men and able women will mate, and they will produce babies, and they will be deprived. Rulers will not have personal property, so on and so forth. So when such people, when a woman will conceive a child who will be groomed to be a philosopher king, she will not look after the person, state will look after the person. So it will have a liberating influence on women because they will be free from the household chorus, the family responsibility. Did you understand it or not? How he is liberating to women? Because these women will actually be free from the household chorus. Okay, no issues, I can proceed. This is the main thing. Next you can understand, but the fourth point. Now you see. Conclusion. How do we conclude Plato? Someone who we have been discussing from the last 3 days. This is the third day today, right? So what is the conclusion on Plato then? Some thinkers believe that Plato was not concerned about ending discrimination against women, but he wanted to make Athens an ideal state. Actually, what was the purpose of his entire political philosophy? How to make Athens a perfect state. That was his purpose. So people are saying, don't call him feminist. He did not work for emancipation. He did not work for women empowerment. Whatever liberating effects his thought can have on women is because he wants to use women where it was not for sake of women, but the use was in service of the state. Women can serve the state better because women are not an end. Welfare state, Athens glory is the end. Women are a means. So do not call him a women, because women, what do feminists feel? That women are end in itself. Women emancipation and empowerment is an end in itself, is what they feel. It cannot be a means for some other purpose. Is it all right? Please let me know. Is it all right? So it's quite different from actually what the feminists say. Correct? Next thing you see. But his suggestions could have surely improved women's conditions in those times because women were discriminated against in ancient Greece. Okay. And for whatever be the purpose of his thoughts, whatever be the purpose with which he was saying these things, end result matters. You can say a lot of things, but the end result is not improving. So what is the purpose of blabbering? So that is why people say that do not criticize him, that he is anti-women or he's not concerned about women. At least he says that women should be given education. He talks about philosopher queen when no one talked about these things, that women can also be the ruling elite. Correct. So that is very novel idea that comes from Plato. Okay. One can be either Platonic or anti-Platonic, but can never be non-Platonic. You understand why? Because he has said so many things. He has given ideas. He has worked on theories of so many things that either you will agree with them or you will not agree with them. If you not agree with them, like Karl Popper, you will write a book. If you agree, like Levinson, what was his name? I forgot. Then you will write another book in defense of Plato. Levinson, yes, I said Levinson. So either you will be a Popper or a Levinson. Criticize him, defend him. You cannot be non-Platonic. The sheer magnitude of ideas and theories and the work that Plato has done is enormous. It continues to be in use even today. Thousands of years have passed. In defense of Plato. Yes, of course. I told you yesterday, Sam. Levinson's book name is In Defense of Plato. Karl Popper's book name is Enemies of Open Society. Should I write it for everyone? But it was on slides, I guess. But I'll write. So this is what we have to know about Plato. Now Plato is over. Now what we need to do, we need to come to uh, his disciple. No. I have summed up the conclusion by the thinkers. It's not that, see, Karl Popper is criticizing him, Levinson is supporting him. Okay, so in light of these two thinkers, we have concluded our conclusion. We have derived our conclusion from these two people. We have already mentioned the names. You can't read those books right now, right? Else you could have seen these things for yourself. Now we will come to the disciple, Aristotle. In Hindi, we call him Arastu. In Hindi, we'll call Plato only. And Socrates, we call Sukrat. What do we call Alexander? Plato's disciple is Alexander. What do we call him in Hindi? What is his Indian name? You don't know? Alexander the Great? No, Sarat, not Sikandar. Sikandar is his Iranian name. The Farsis, the Iranians used to call him Sikandar. Indians used to call him Alexander. Okay, Indians used to call him Alexander. Like the greatest Indo-Greek king is Menander. Indians used to call him Milind. So we are good at giving names. Sikandar is the Iranian name. Indians used to call him Alexander. Now we'll come to Aristotle or Arastu in Hindi. Now this guy, there's this book Milind Panho, written by Nagarjuna Nagsen. Questions of Milind, it means. It's actually in a question answer form. Nagarjuna or Nagsen, both are same people. He was a Buddhist monk. There's a very interesting story. Did I share this story with any of you in earlier classes about Milind Panho? Should I leave it? Okay, I'm doing it just because you have to study this in history, in your GS history. Menander was the greatest Indo-Greek king. Okay, and after Mauryas, last Mauryan king Brihadrat will be killed by his commander-in-chief Pushyamitra Shunga. So Shunga was also a very strong ruler. So the influx of Greeks started in India. Seleucus Nicator succeeded Alexander and he attacked India, but Chandragupta Maurya defeated him. Okay, so the influx, the interaction started. India defeated Greece, but the influx, interaction was there. It was not fighting. So Milind came. Milind is the Menander, and he is one of the greatest Indo-Greek kings. So once he was roaming around in his Rath. You know Rath, chariot? So this Nagarjuna was there. Nagarjuna or Nagsen, same person. He was a Buddhist monk. So he did not greet the king the way one should greet the king. How do you greet the king? Bow down like Mughals used to do. So वैसे तो नहीं करेंगे, मुगल तो थे नहीं, तो there was a way through which the king is here, so you are supposed to leave the, you have to bow, something like that. So this Nagarjuna did not do that. So Milind was angry and he said, arrest him and take him to court. Okay, take him to court. This happened in Chhattisgarh. Dr. Raman Singh was the chief minister of Chhattisgarh and Prime Minister Modi was on a visit. So there was this IAS officer who was supposed to be there to seek all the arrangements. So he greeted the Prime Minister and he was wearing goggles. So Prime Minister said, how are you, Mr. Singham? And he went. Now the Chief Minister got angry that why were you wearing goggles when you greeted the PM? Is this the way? So later on, PM called him to Delhi only. He was not punished. He's a very upright officer. So you cannot punish someone for wearing goggles, right? So he was elevated. He came to Delhi actually. Yeah, protocol issues. Protocol is important. More so when you are meeting the Prime Minister. So Chief Minister was a bit angry, but PM said, okay, chalta hai itna. Now the thing is, he did not greet Menander in the way he should have. So Menander said, bring him to court. And he went there. He said, why didn't you see me? Why didn't you greet me? Did you not see my Rath? He said, what Rath? He said, what Rath? This is the chariot, the Rath of King Menander. I am the greatest Indo-Greek king. This is the royal Rath. And you cannot see the Rath. And don't you know I am Menander? Nagarjuna says, who is Menander? Menander was like, are you mad? You don't know who am I? Entire India knows me. What are you talking about? So Nagarjuna said, okay, tell me, you are saying that you were on your royal Rath. You are saying that you were on your royal Ratha or chariot. So what is your royal chariot? Can you describe that? What are the components of that chariot? The wheels, the horse, your sarthi, your charioteer, the royal flag that is flying atop, the seat on which you are sitting, what actually is a chariot? No, Milind was like, I don't know what is a chariot, because all these are parts of chariot. Similarly, no, no. So similarly, Milind, are you just a king or you are something else, like your Rath? Then Milind said, forgive me, make me your disciple. And you tell me what else Milind is, or what else an individual is. Then Nagarjuna says, okay, I'll accept you as my disciple and let us start your education. And then what comes is known as Milind Panho, Questions of Milind. The book is in a question answer form. It's written in Pali language, Milind Panho. This is the story behind Milind Panho. Okay, interesting, right? You understood it or not? So this is how, see the wisdom that Indians had at that time. Milind ko hi Milind Panho sikha diya, matlab Raja ko. Now let us come to the disciple. Okay, Aristotle. He is Aristotle on your screen, another great guru. In fact, it is said when Alexander was trying to invade India and Chanakya was asking Magad to save India, it was not between the Nandas or the Greeks or between Mauryas or the Greeks. It was a war between two Mahagurus, Chanakya versus the guy on your screen, Aristotle. And of course, Chanakya won. We'll see that in Indian political thought. We have to study Dharma Shastra and Artha Shastra, the text written by Chanakya. Entire Western political philosophy is nothing but footnotes to Plato and Aristotle. Whitehead, a contemporary thinker, says so. That you cannot escape these two guys. It's a footnote. Yeah, just in case footnote, you understand. A tribute. Aristotle is known as father of political science and comparative politics. Your optional. He is the father of your optional. Comparative politics is the paper 2 part A. He studied 150 plus constitutions that were existing at that time. He disagrees with Plato that there is some ultimate reality which is beyond senses. And to understand reality, we need both sense and reason. He suggests a moderate path. So he does not, what is Plato saying? One fine idealist. An idealist will always talk about a grand idea, correct? You remember who is an idealist? Who is a realist? Yes or no? Or you forgot? So, being an idealist, Plato will attribute highest importance, highest priority to the ideas. And he will try to implement those ideas and expect the world to act according to the ideas that is embedded deep within him. Correct? So, his disciple Aristotle does not agree with this. He does not say that ultimate reality is beyond sense. Material also exists, ideas also exist. And he says to understand reality, you do not need extreme of reason. If you become too reasonable, that will again be a problem. Try to watch a Hindi cinema with reason. Will you be able to withstand 3 hours? If you try to watch a Hindi cinema with reason, all idiotic crap they come up with, right? Or for that matter, most of the Indian movie, even certain South Indian movies are defying the laws of physics, right? So reason is not, no, I have not seen. I have just watched one South Indian movie and I liked it a lot, Bomirallu, with subtitles, of course. I have not watched any other South Indian. The remakes I would have watched in Hindi, but Bomirallu I saw. Yeah. And I loved it. But I have not watched. I'll check it out. So he says that reality is not only reason. If you try to be every time reasonable, ever try to be reasonable with your parents? Ever try to be too reasonable with your parents? You'll get a slap, right? So he says that apart from reality, something else also matters, that is your sensory perceptions. And do not be at the extreme end of reason. Somewhere in between, the moderate path needs to be followed. Now, this is exactly what Mahatma Buddha also says. What Aristotle says, that don't be too reasonable all the time. You will make your life and others' life difficult. And somewhere in between. Okay, so he is more practical than his guru. His guru is a complete idealist. He's not. Best way to live life is to possess everything in moderation. What a beautiful thought. But few hundred years before him, Mahatma Buddha in India said the same thing. Madhyam Marg, Buddha says, have knowledge and wealth both. Extremes is bad. Now, this is actually an advice of Mahatma Buddha, which you have to 100% follow in your civil services exam. Extreme positions might appear to be very attractive. Think twice before taking them. Okay. And in your exam, you have to be somewhere in between. I'm saying that have things in moderation. Avoid extremes. Ideologically, you will find it very attractive. Be on this side, it's very easy to take sides. But for an aspirant who is preparing for civil services, the best thing is have moderation. Do not completely accept or reject an idea prima facie. Everything has flip sides. All of us have a long way. Which this one? He's saying that have wealth, like Plato would say, give up wealth, give up property. Aristotle is saying, no, don't give them up. If they make you feel good, have them. And Plato says only have knowledge. He said, no, you can have knowledge and wealth together. Right? You can have knowledge and wealth together. Extremes like only knowledge, no wealth, wealth, no knowledge, both are bad. More practical than his guru. Don't strive to be the best. Another very important thing for your exam. Just be best practicable. Don't sacrifice good for best. At times, students who study very diligently, they read so much, they practice so much that during exam, they are like that they will get full marks in this question. So when you intend to get full marks in one question, you will miss the other questions. There's a time limit, right? So don't strive to be the best, just be the best practicable. Anyhow, you cannot complete entire general studies. General studies is endless. Come on, people get rank 1 at 55% in CSE. So how can you be the best? So don't sacrifice good for best. Okay, again a very practical advice he's giving. His guru wants ideal state, but he's saying ideal kahan se? Well, there is nothing called ideal. Something that you think is best can be improved by someone. Not today, maybe after a few years. What you think is best will be improved up. This is how world has been. This is what empirical evidence history teaches us, right? So be best practicable. Do not sacrifice good for the best. Aristotle is conservative, Plato is radical. Do you know the meaning of these two terms, conservative and radical? Even Karl Popper says that he's asking for radical changes. Society is not very conducive to, not very acceptable of radical changes. Society, however, accept gradual changes. I'll explain. That's what I'm doing. Radical means do this. There is no other way. This is radical. See, conservative are change resistant. Radicals are change proof. Okay. Now you got the difference. Radicals are change proof. Conservatives are resistant to it. But someday they will change. They prefer gradual changes. They prefer no changes. See the next point. Conservative believe in preserving traditions and customs. So of course they will not like change. They are not fundamentalist. Fundamentalists like and radicals are same. They want no change. Conservatives allow for gradual change. Okay, conservatives will allow for gradual change. Is it all right? Now okay with all of you? Understood the meaning of these two terms and the difference? Who is more prone to change between the two? Conservatives are. Now between a conservative and a liberal, again liberal is more prone to change. Conservative, when you compare a conservative to a liberal, of course a radical beliefs is again a change, but a radical or a fundamentalist has one perfect idea. This is the best, everything else is bad. Conservatives would say this is the best, however this can be tried. Liberals will say keep trying, best will come. Okay, now all of you understood? Liberal, conservative, radical, fundamentalist. See, these are the building blocks of political science. And I'm sorry to say, I'm not saying this to any of you, but I have seen students completing the entire optional, gone through the entire optional syllabus and classroom and anywhere, and they don't know what is the exact meaning of these terms. Okay, so this is actually an irony that you are studying this as an optional for extremists are radicals, fundamentalist, extremist, radical, fascist again. So someone who says that this is my idea and there is no other idea that is true, and if you don't obey it, I am going to kill you, is a fascist. Why sensitive? They cannot be sensitive also. Was Hitler sensitive? Sensitive is irrespective of ideology. You can be a very bad person, but you can cry after watching a movie because you are sensitive. That does not mean anything. See, let me sum it up again. Do not get confused. Three words are there on the slide: conservative, fundamentalist, radical. Radical and fundamentalist are same. First, let us examine these three words, then I'll tell you some other words also, which you have asked in your questions. Else, you all will get confused. Please listen to what I'm saying. Conservatives, radicals and fundamentalists are same. They have one set of ideas which they think is best. Everything else is crap, rubbish. So do not say anything contrary to what they are saying. Conservative would say what I think, what I practice, what my customs are best. If you say this is good, this can also do something better, then I am willing to try it slowly, 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 slowly. Gradual changes can happen. Liberals would say keep trying, only then change will best thing will come. Now, what more was there? Radical. Uh, now I'll see the questions that you asked. Extremist, yes. Extremist, radical, and fundamentalist are same. Now, when they engage in acts of violence, most of the extremists, radical, and fundamentalists engage in acts of violence because they know that they are the best. Their idea is best. सामने वाला बिल्कुल बेवकूफ है. So what सामने वाला is doing is an utter rubbish thing. Yes, Ram, बिल्कुल. And they are most prone to engage. वैसे all of them nowadays, liberals also engage in violence. Okay, you understood how Aristotle is different from his guru? Now, Aristotle also has a theory of state. Like we have seen Plato's theory of state. Now, let us see what his disciple has to say. He is a functionalist, which means he understands the functional importance of institution. I'll explain all the points here, don't worry. Functional importance, that so and so institution is important, the existence has to be there because it performs a certain function. Okay, because it performs a certain function which is very important. Man by nature is a political animal. Okay, one who can live without a state is either a beast or a god. He cannot be a man. Man here means women also, but since he is not having very high regards for women, which we shall see very soon, contributing to the outrage of some of you. So he says that human beings are by nature political animals. That is why they need state. Only an animal does not require a state, or God does not require a state. Rest, human beings require state, is what he's saying. And state is the highest form of all associations. And why state exists? So that people can have a good life. Man by nature is a political animal, and sophists have been saying that man is before state. Okay, the sophists said actually this is how it happened. Individual came, then came the state. Individual was not born in a state. Remember, man used to live in caves. Early men, the prehistoric era, the Paleolithic, the Mesolithic, and the Neolithic, from where your history syllabus starts in general studies. So, man was actually what? Man was a person. Man is an entity that is prior to state. Then man started intermingling with fellow humans, with nature. Okay, he started domesticating animals. He started engaging in acts of farming and fishing and so on and so forth. Then with this gradual interaction for thousands of years emerges the state. Okay, this you will study in your ancient history. How first Gram comes, then Vish comes, okay, and then Janpad and then Mahajanpad. All these terms are in your history books. So what sophists are saying, that man is prior to state. And he is saying as total that yes, chronologically you are right, but man by nature is a political animal and he needs state because state protects the interest of individuals and of society as well. No question here. Please let me know. No question. Now, where is the conflict? He's approving these things. Then, man is political. Nature made man in a way that it can't live without state. Okay. So he says that man is social also. You don't interact with anyone for 2 days, you will feel like talking to someone. Okay. So social hai, political hai. So he needs state. And chronologically, what sophists are saying is correct, that man is prior to state, but it is only after the advent of state that man starts leading a meaningful life. Now, see the next point. Man is not self sufficient, he can't fulfill all his needs on his own. There is nothing called a self made man, okay? Or a self, आजकल बहुत सुनते हैं ना, self made woman. Come on. So many things have contributed to your growth, whether you are a woman or a man or whatever you are. How can you be self made? Only hermaphrodites are self-made. Google what I am saying. Who is a hermaphrodite? Okay. Yes. So man is not self-sufficient. He can't fulfill all his needs on his own. He needs institutions. Basic need, family. You need to have a family, you need to have a partner, a husband or a wife, you will have children, you will have your parents, your emotional, physical, psychological needs will be met there. Social needs, village, outside your family, you need to interact with your neighbors, your friends, your relatives. That is what comes. Higher order needs will be fulfilled by the state. Law and order, defense, tax, revenue, opportunities, economic things. Who will take care of these things? State will. Man needs state because it originates in the need of man. So man has that hierarchy of needs. Now Maslow has also talked about need hierarchy theory in modern times, and at the top there is actually a pyramid of Maslow. uh, we don't have to study this in political science, but I'm telling you that it's a hierarchy, and at the lowest level are basic needs: food, shelter, sex, so on and so forth. Then as you keep progressing, the final one is self actualization. Okay, someone who is not attached to his life is said to be at self actualization. So what he's saying, that basic, social and higher order, and it's an evolution. It's again, Aristotle has a hierarchy of needs, not like Maslow big one, but just three. And at the top is state. So it is there in the basic hierarchy needs of man that state is supposed to be there. State's formation is needed. Man is chronologically prior to state. He agrees with the sophist. First came man, then came state. But logically, state is prior to man because man becomes man only in the state. What life you were leading before the state was formed? You were living in caves. You were a nomad wandering from one place to the other in search of food and shelter, right? It is a state which comes with some regulation, with some institutions, which brings order in your life. So you become a human being, a man only after the state. Chronologically, you are prior. Logically, state is prior to you. Did you understand this thing? This question has been asked in your main exam a number of times. Man is prior to state, Aristotle comment. So you have to start from the beginning. Any questions here? Why he says that yes, chronologically you are right, logically you are wrong? You understood the point of view of Aristotle here? Please tell me. No question here, right? Man becomes man only after you are living in a state. Aristotle says Plato looks at state as a family. That is what he wants, right? That is what Plato wants. That there shall be careful mating between ablest of men and women, and question anyone. And philosopher king will have no family of his own because the state will be his family. Aristotle says no, state is not a family, it's a family of families. Several families exist. That's why state exists. State can be a larger set of small subsets of families. It cannot be a uniset. One monolithic state is a family is never possible. Okay, very tough. Authority of philosopher king is based on nature of authority of master of family. According to Plato, is what his disciple Aristotle is saying. He will have unquestionable powers, and Plato values the difference between personal and political. Personal is political. The statement we have already seen, right? That there is no real difference between personal and political. You don't have a personal wife or a personal husband. The rulers, you are supposed to be take care of state as your family. Philosopher king does not know who the parents are. He's carefully chosen after a process of reproduction that was carried outside the family structure. These are the things that Plato said. So he's saying, Aristotle is saying, that you have actually diluted the difference between personal and political. Personal should be separate than political, and you are giving unquestionable powers to the philosopher king. That also needs to be checked. Okay, how Aristotle differs from personal is political. His guru says personal is political. Now you see, Aristotle supports deliberative democracy. We have to study democracy. There are different forms of democracy. One is deliberative. State should provide opportunities to head of different families to come together and deliberate so that they can find a common ground among various interests. I'll give you India is also a deliberative democracy. The prime minister is not doing everything. Okay, there are chief ministers, there are other ministers with the prime minister, there are village panchayats and municipalities. Okay, so that is what deliberative democracy is. State should provide opportunity, as per Aristotle, to head of different families, bring them on a common platform, make them come together, and then deliberate certain tasks to them. Okay, so whatever diverging interests they have, they will find something common and they will act accordingly. Is it all right? Please let me know. See, it's little tough to understand idealist thinkers, but we have to. Any question you have, please send me in chat. Plato sacrifices personal for political because his philosopher king shall have no family, no property, would not know who the parents or children are. Aristotle believes that personal should be different from political because he is not going into reason all the time, unlike his guru. Objective of life for Aristotle is to achieve excellence, but objective of a state is self-sufficiency. Why? Why state needs to have self-sufficiency? So that it can take care of every citizen. Some people are poor, some are rich. State is self-sufficient. State will endeavor to provide to those who are deprived. So state can be self-sufficient. It is the individual who will be excellent. Don't mix these traits like Plato, who makes no distinction between an individual and his personal life and a political life. Nothing called ideal state. There can be a self-sufficient state which can take care of the needs of most of the citizens. Individuals will achieve excellence. How? When they will have a balanced life, somewhere in between reason and sense experience. All right? Atmanirbhar. Yes. So again, what happened during Corona? Government started giving bailouts to migrant laborers. Started abhi sixth installment has gone into the farmers account. Do you know this? They have received. I happened to talk to a few of them. They were very happy that Modi ne hame bheja hai. So state, how can state do that? When state has that resource with it, then how it's only then you can take care of the vulnerable. So state needs to have self-sufficiency, more of the resources to spend on everyone. Citizenship. Sumana, time for you to get outraged. Any question till here? Please feel free. Because this is a different, rather very different aspect of Aristotle that we are coming across now. What do you mean by chronological? The one who comes first? Chronologically, I am senior to you. Definitely, I was born before you. So chronologically, I am senior to you.
Yes, sir.
So chronologically, I am senior to all of you because I was born before you. Sophists used to say, I'll come to your question, Krishna. First, let me answer Ravi's question. Sophists used to say that individual is prior to state chronologically. It is first human beings who came and then human beings made the state. Man used to live in caves in prehistoric era, early man. Then very later on the state developed. So chronologically who is senior? Man is senior to state. Aristotle says, yes, I agree that chronologically man is superior, state is prior to individual. But a man becomes a man only when he lives in state. What kind of life man was leading or living before he formed the state? He was living in caves. He was a hunter-gatherer, a nomad, searching, wandering from one place to the other in search of food and shelter. It is only
Okay.
after the state came that he started living a proper, dignified, and a life which is having some purpose and order.
Okay, sir.
Did you understand now? No one has a question this on this chronologically and logically how state and individual are prior. Now Krishna's question. Unquestionable power and Plato diluting it. No, Plato is not diluting it. Aristotle is. See, because Plato wants to have an ideal state. That ideal state can be formed by a philosopher king who will be full of reason and wisdom and trained in a, what do you call it, algorithmic way. Yesterday we have seen 0 to 6 years, 6 to 18 years, 35 years, 35 to 50 years. At the age of 50, with all that experience and knowledge and training and education, you are eligible to be a philosopher king. So his philosopher king will be a sovereign. You cannot question the sovereign. Aristotle says this model will not work. So he talks about deliberative democracy. What is deliberative democracy? Deliberative democracy is that state is not a single family, but there are several families. When these families come together and they stay together, then comes the state. So state should call people, deliberate task to them. What Plato is saying that philosopher king will do everything, Aristotle is saying no. King should consult people, call them, and then give them some task to do. Is it all right? I'm glad when I explain you get it, all of you. What was the confusion, Krishna? Okay, it's clear now. Okay. I saw your message. I just read the full message. Any other questions? Citizenship. What Aristotle thinks about citizenship? He supports Plato's view that state is natural and prior to man, but disagrees with now state is natural and prior to man logically, not chronologically. Just now I explained it. But he disagrees with Plato that state is a family. There are several families. State is family of families, is what he says. What is citizenship? It's a legal status between person and the state. It's between me and the country, between the state. Citizenship. Now, women, Subhana, women, old people, children, and slaves should be excluded from citizenship. Oh, okay. कहाँ गई सुमना? Subhana, before you threaten Plato, you need to understand why he is saying so. And something that was said in 3rd century BC will not hold good today. Again, 50 years is Plato, not Aristotle. Plato talks about philosopher king, Aristotle does not. See how we tend to make mistakes. I'll explain everything. All your questions will be answered today. See, remember what I told you in the orientation session itself? You will say, sir, you said many things. There is something I told about thinkers. Something I told about thinkers. Every thinker is a prisoner of his time. Remember this line? They see contemporary events, they experience contemporary events, and they formulate theories. That is why we criticize them, because situation has changed, priorities have changed, social orders have changed. Okay, now you see why he says so. Only natural born adult male belonging to propertied class should be citizen. Full patriarchy. Okay, natural born adult male. Okay, so this is why what he favors, that they should be the citizens. Outrageous, completely outrageous. You all understood what he's saying? Now we will say why he's saying what he's saying, but you understood what he's saying. We'll come to these things, please. Mail. Yes. Shall we move from here?
Sir, I'm sorry. He says that natural born adult males must be given citizenship. What if after they become old, they will be deprived of their citizenship?
Yes, they
After
will be
that.
deprived. Once men become old, they will be deprived of their citizenship. See, just ask questions on this slide. Why are you asking in advance? What does he say on this and that? Did you understand these 4 points or not? आगे भाग रहे हो तुम लोग. This is all right to all of you? Please focus on where we are. No, he has not given an age like 40, 50 or 60. Someone who is not capable of doing certain things because of age. It can be 55, it can be 65. It varies from person to person. He will be old and he will no longer be a citizen. Okay. Vishnu, just read this slide and tell me if you understand what is written there. Take 2 minutes. Okay, I understand that you lost your connectivity. I have read your message. Just read this slide quickly if you understand what is written here. Nothing beyond this slide. Don't ask, sir, how can he say this thing? Don't blame me, okay? I'm not even remotely related to Aristotle. Did you read this? Do you have any doubt? They will not be citizens, Krishna. Injured, disabled male of high class will not be citizens. Natural born adult male, physically fit, who are propertied, who have access to property. Now, why he is saying such things? Now, shall we proceed to the next slide? No, propertied means, of course, poor men are not propertied. They will not be giving citizenship who do not have property. Venkat, I'll tell you. Natural born means that some medical innovation was not needed for them. Naturally born. Two people marry, they have kids. As simple as it is. Some artificial insemination or such things were not used. Not a personal ruling. This is only for citizenship. Okay. Can I move this now? Enough of questions on this slide. I was expecting questions on this slide, but not so many. चलो अब आगे बढ़ता हूँ. No, nothing to do with gender. Now you see here, please see here. What is citizenship? You are a citizen, which means you have a duty to participate in the day-to-day affair of the state. You will be a part of statecraft. You will have a view which will influence the state. Citizens, right? it still holds true. As citizens, we have a duty to participate. We elect our government, we want law and order, we provide feedback to the government on different forums now, right? So this is what Aristotle also says, that if you are a citizen, you need to participate in the affairs of the state. Person should have capacity to participate, but women are inferior. Again, Aristotle, not Kanishakar. Women are inferior to men. Old people have health issues, and children are immature. Slaves lack reason, so don't make them citizens. Here are the reasons. First, he considers women to be inferior to men. He considers old people, because of their health issue, cannot take care, cannot participate to their fullest in the state affairs. Children, of course, the only justified one, because they are immature. Slaves, again, not justified, they lack reason. So he compares women to slave. He compares women and slave to children. You know what he says? Slavery is good for both slave and master. Now, why he says so? Please listen. Slavery is good for both slave and master, because slave is an individual who has no capacity to reason out things. He's an inferior mental quality. Now, if he do anything on his own without having skills of reason, he will harm himself. Just like a kid. You see, toddlers, every time their parents are like, where is my kid? If they don't see their kid at a gathering for a minute, they will be like, pata nahi kya kar dega. Because kids have to be watched every time, because they can hurt themselves, right? So same thing he says about women and slaves, because they are inferior, that's why they can hurt themselves. Okay. Now a master will tell the slave what you can do, which will enhance your utility. Now master is having reason, high intellect, high level of rational faculties. So if a master starts doing what a slave is supposed to do, master is wasting his time, right? Master is wasting his time. So master should allow the slave, or master should, there should be such provision where the slave should do what he's supposed to do, so that master can think and focus on better things in life, right? So slavery is a win-win situation. In the absence of a master, slave will harm himself, women will harm himself, just like children tend to harm himself when their guardians or parents are not around. Slaves do not do what to do, master will tell them what to do. It will enhance the productivity of the slave, and master will have spare time, because the house will be cleaned by the slave, the food will be prepared by the slave, comforts will be provided by the slaves. Your bed is prepared, your clothes are washed, slave will do these things. Now master will focus on better thing, running the state, participating in the state affair. Did you understand these 2 points? Don't ask counter question, just tell me if you understood this. No follow up allowed here. If this then that, we shall see that. But did you understand this or not? He thinks women slaves are immature like children, and same analogy he has used, like children will harm themselves. You cannot allow a children 3-year-old or 4-year-old to go on main road, right? Of course he can do anything. It's not baby's day out. Similarly, slaves and women will also harm themselves if master is not there to tell them what to do. All okay here? Now you see, slavery is natural and useful. Just now I explained this to you. Just now I explained this. Now ask all your questions. It is natural because in nature, survival of fittest is there. Plato also says this. It is natural because it will enhance the utility for everyone, and state will function in its best way. And state, is at the top of hierarchy to satisfy that we have seen earlier. Now I'm not reading your questions because I'm answering one. I'll come to your questions. You see, here is the need of the state to satisfy higher order needs, and it originates in the need of the man itself. It's an inherent need, right? So that is why it's natural. Slavery is a natural phenomena, because only then state will function properly, and if state function properly, only then it will be able to take higher order needs of man. Is it all right? To the person who asked this, I forgot the name, let me check the slide. Is chat. Sam asked this. Okay. Now another questions. No, not everyone is educated. Where did we say that everyone is educated? Some are of course not educated, some are having property, some are not. Even Plato says that those who qualify after 18 years If they pass the exam, then only they can get to next level. How is everyone educated? There are people in whom, within whom there will be low content of reason. Anirudh has asked his circumstances to these thoughts. See, he also wants to have a proper functioning state which will do good to everyone. And this is the solution that he comes with. Yes, yes, of course. Of course, rich families, resourceful families. These two gentlemen, Plato and Aristotle, are accused of elitism also because they give responsibilities to resourcefuls. What reason, Ravi? What is number one reason you have written? They became elite. Yes, they were. What is this reason? Capacity to reason, which I said. That do you have reasoning capability within you or not? Have you been there in the last class? Were you present? I've explained this very elaborately, I guess. Three type of attributes: reason, appetite, and courage. Reason is something logical. Yes. Ravi, did you understand? So man needs state because these things we have seen. Yeah, yeah, yes, 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 yes. Same. Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun, which Indian philosophical schools talk about. Plato and Aristotle talk about the same thing: reason, courage, and appetite. Very similar to Indian philosophical school. Satagun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. Sattva can be reason, Tamogun can be courage, and nahi, Tamo can be appetite, and Rajogun could be courage. Slaves completely lack Sattva, reason. Yes, yes, 100%. Women lack reason. Children, of course, lack reason. Ravi, I think you got it. But please watch the recording of that class and go through the PPTs I have made available in the form of PDF in your Telegram channel. All of you understood how Aristotle is going against his guru, not Plato. So, yes, yes, Aristotle. So, there are more things about Aristotle that we shall learn in the next class. Uh, I'll straight away mail this PPT to you all and revise from here. Nothing else is required. No book, no nothing. Just this lecture, the class records, and the PPT that is here. Nothing else, believe you me. Okay then, let us call it a day. We shall meet in the next class. Please be there.